In the world of systematic trading, there's this really interesting paradox. Traders, especially those in prop firms, where they're trading the company's money, they often find their biggest battle isn't with the market at all. It's actually inside their own heads. It's this constant tug of war between gut-wrenching emotional pressure and the absolute need for ice-cold discipline. So how do you solve for that? The human element. And yeah, this quote, it absolutely nails it. You can have the most brilliant strategy on paper, but it's totally useless if your discipline just crumbles the second things get intense. The real point of failure isn't the plan. It's the breakdown and actually following that plan. So the real question is, how can technology step in and help solve this very, very human problem? All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start by unpacking the real challenge that every single trader runs into. Then we'll look at a super disciplined workflow that's designed to fix it. We'll see how it literally compares the plan to what really happened, and how that simple act creates this amazing learning loop, one that builds pure emotion-free intelligence. Okay, so first up, let's really dig into that challenge. Look, finding a strategy that makes money, that's just step one. The real war is fought right here, in your mind. Your own psychology becomes the single biggest hurdle, especially when you're trying to juggle multiple accounts and you've got these strict rules breathing down your neck. And look, these pressures, they don't just add up, they multiply. It's not like you're just managing one risk. You're trying to handle a bunch of different accounts, and each one has its own strict limits on how much you can lose. Throw in that constant pressure to hit profit targets, and what you have is a perfect storm for making emotional, impulsive, and frankly bad decisions. This is exactly where discipline goes right out the window. So, how in the world do you fight back against that emotional whirlwind? Well, you build a system. You put a structure in place that's designed from the ground up to replace those gut reactions with a consistent, professional, and disciplined workflow. And this particular system, it's built on three key parts. The whole workflow is actually pretty straightforward, kind of brilliant in its simplicity. First, you have Dr. Markets. Think of it as the strategist. It creates the daily prescription, or the game plan. Next up is TradeRx, which is like the disciplined soldier that just executes that plan perfectly. And finally, you've got JournalX, the impartial reporter that writes down every single thing that happened. It's a simple, powerful cycle. Plan, execute, report. Okay, and this is where the real magic happens. The genius of this system is how it methodically, relentlessly compares the plan to what actually happened in reality. It's not just logging trades. It's about systematically capturing the data on every single tiny deviation from that original plan. I mean, just think about that for a second. On one side, you have the plan, that perfect, rule-based prescription that came from Dr. Markets. And on the other side, you have reality. Every single trade, every bit of risk, every outcome, all recorded factually by JournalX. The gap between those two? That's not failure. That's where the most valuable intelligence in the world is hiding. And this whole comparison thing, it's not a one-and-done deal. Oh no. It's the engine of this powerful feedback cycle, a continuous learning loop that allows the entire system to get smarter and more tuned in after every single trading day. So the loop starts fresh every single morning. Dr. Markets takes a look at the whole battlefield, the health of the account, where it's at with profit targets, how it performed yesterday, and from all that data, it creates a clear, objective plan for the day. Then TradeRx gets that prescription and just executes. It does it with machine-like precision. No fear, no greed, no second-guessing. It simply follows the rules that were laid out in the plan, which guarantees consistency. And while all that's happening, JournalX is just quietly taking notes. It's the impartial scribe in the corner, capturing every single piece of data, creating this perfect factual record of how the day actually went down. And this right here is the absolute key. The system takes the factual report from JournalX and lays it right on top of the original plan from Dr. Markets. Any gap between the two, a mistrade, a slightly different entry, it isn't a mistake. It's identified, packaged up, and turned into structured, actionable feedback. And that's what closes the loop. That feedback, that intelligence, gets plugged directly back into the system's brain, back to Dr. Markets. This brand new information lets it refine tomorrow's plan, making it just a little bit smarter and a little more effective than today's was. The system is literally learning from its own real-world experience every single day. So all of this, It leads to the biggest benefit of the whole system. By automating this learning loop, you are effectively swapping out the weaknesses of human emotion and pressure for the strengths of consistent analytical discipline. There's actually a name for this whole process. It's called adaptive intelligence. It's just a fancy way of saying a system gets better by analyzing the gap between what it planned to do and what actually happened. It's learning, but in its purest, most systematic form. And the advantage here, it's just huge. A system like this doesn't get rattled when the market goes crazy. It avoids those impulsive account-destroying risks because it doesn't feel fear or greed. It looks at data with pure objectivity. And maybe most importantly, it maintains that discipline day in and day out, preventing those dumb mistakes that can get a trader fired. So what you end up with is this incredibly powerful compounding effect. Instead of discipline being this limited resource that you have to struggle to maintain, it becomes a core feature of the system itself, a feature that gets better and stronger over time. The system becomes more informed and more disciplined with every single session. So I'll just leave you with this one last thought to chew on. What happens to the world of trading when discipline is no longer a personal trait you have to master, but is just a built-in feature of the system you're using? What does that future look like?